Hey everyone, I'm Konstantinos and this is Konstantin Knows Tech. The 2024 Apple event, its Glowtime, just finished, so let's chat about it a little bit. Apple production truly blows everything out of the water. And yes, I know I'm a fanboy, but whenever they have a keynote, I'm always impressed with the final product. I have to say though, this may cause some controversy. I may be more impressed with the keynote this year than the actual products that were released. Let's dive in. Everyone's excited about the phones, so let's talk about that first. Before talking about the differences between the regular 16 and the Pro model, let's talk about some of the features that both models will be getting. The first upgrade is an upgrade to MagSafe, which is very welcome. If you want to learn more about MagSafe and wireless charging, check out this video. Both devices are upgraded to Qi 2 wireless charging, which improves charging speeds up to 25 watts for MagSafe devices and 15 watts for regular Qi 2 devices. So that's a positive upgrade. Both models also now come with Wi-Fi 7. Who doesn't love a faster connection? You will need to upgrade your router and modem, but we'll all get there eventually. The action button has now brought its way over from the Pro model and the 15 to both the 16 and the Pro model. It's a cool feature. I'll admit I haven't changed it from the default mute and unmute switch, but I know a lot of people customize it to some really cool functions. Part of me wonders if this is an actual improvement or if it's a manufacturing and operational improvement in their economies of scale. Instead of making two different phone models, they just have to make one type of button for both devices. So the 16 and the 16 Pro now get a new button. This is called camera control. This button, it is a physical button, but it's also tied to the haptic engine, so it has haptic feedback. Down the road, after a software update, you'll even be able to do a soft press to click it. This button will be dedicated to all things camera control. You can zoom in and zoom out, change the lenses, and even change certain settings. Part of me wonders why this button came to be. Although it's a cool feature, I don't necessarily think that it's intense hardware innovation. And also, like we saw with the 15s, why would they not make this exclusive to the Pro model? What I think is happening is that Apple is trying to retrain their audience to film and shoot photos horizontally. Now, the standard is to shoot everything vertical for social media, but in order to get the spatial photos and videos for Apple Vision Pro and the future of spatial computing, Apple needs us to continue to provide content and provide data in horizontal modes. So that's what I think is really going on. Both the 16 and the 16 Pro now get a new photographic styles, which lets you customize a lot more in your photos, which is a lot more advanced than just applying a filter. Additionally, for audio, both phones get a new audio mix to use computational magic to adjust the sources and location for sound. The newly invented Apple lens, aka rebranded Google Lens, is coming soon as well. This lets you point your camera to anything and you can look it up instantly from the camera, whether you're looking to purchase something or look up reviews of a restaurant or anything like that. And from the hardware side, there's also improved heat management due to internal graphite frame upgrades. Last but not least, what's coming to both models is Apple Intelligence, and this will also only come to the iPhone 15 Pro. And Apple Intelligence is the key word of the new AI race. This will house the next generation Siri. It'll allow you to rewrite your emails and text to change the tone, whether it's friendly, more business oriented. It'll also help you prioritize notifications and even allow you to create new emojis out of thin air, so you won't have to wait for new software updates to do so. All this stuff is cool and I'm happy for it, but I want to reserve judgment until the next iteration of software updates come out. Because even though these phones are being launched in the next few weeks, it won't be until iOS 18.1 or 18.2 where we get the full functional features with Apple Intelligence and the various other ones. Let's jump into some of the individual components of each device. The iPhone 16 and 16 Plus are the same size as last year's iPhone's models, with it being 6.1 inches and 6.7 inches respectively. The price is not increased. It still starts at $799 with 128 gigabytes of storage and $899 for the 16 Plus, also with 128 gigabytes. Both phones can go all the way up to 512 gigabytes of storage. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy that the prices haven't increased. That's great, but it is 2024. How on earth is Apple selling a flagship device with a 60 hertz refresh rate for $800? That's absolutely nuts. You can get an Android phone for less than $200 with up to 120 hertz refresh rate. So before you come at me in the comments, I don't necessarily agree with how they're doing this. I think that in next year's model, hopefully they'll meet us halfway and at least give us 90 hertz to make it that much smoother. That being said, the vast majority of users will not even notice the difference or even know what a hertz is in relation to a refresh rate. It's only tech nerds like you and me that get lost in the specs and care about this stuff. But I still want people to get a good value for the tech that they're buying. Although Apple doesn't release actual figures, and we'll probably have to wait for a teardown for that, the battery has been increased on all of the phone models. On the regular 16, video playback has been improved from 20 to 22 hours, and on the 16 Plus, video playback has been increased up to 27 hours. There's no change to USB-C. It still comes in at USB 2.0, which isn't the fastest. But honestly, if you're not moving tons of data, whether it's video or photos, I don't see what a huge deal is. Again, this kind of ties into the whole value for the premium product that you're getting. The new colors for the 16 are black, white, teal, pink, and ultramarine. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the pastel look of these colors, but they look okay. I think that there is always a missed opportunity though when they don't do a deep product red phone. My second favorite iPhone of all time was my product red 10R. I absolutely love that device and the color as well. As for the camera, your main lens is a 48 megapixel lens. It is paired with a 12 megapixel ultra wide lens. You're missing out on two things from the Pro model. The Pro model has an upgraded ultra wide lens, and you're also missing out on the telephoto lens. They do use this fusion technology to create an artificial 2x optical zoom. It's digital, so it's not as good as a telephoto lens, but it's still something. One good thing though is that the 16 and the 16 Plus do come with the same autofocus as the Pros. All in with the camera, there were some pretty solid updates. As for the processor, the 16 and the 16 Plus are skipping a generation from the A16 straight to the A18. This is most likely to handle the increase in processing power for things like Apple Intelligence, and this pairs well with the 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is found in both models. I'll talk more about this at the end, but I honestly think that the improvements to the 16 and the 16 Plus are more substantial than what the Pros get this year. And it's kind of closing the gap between the Pro and the regular models. Speaking of, let's move on to the Pro models. The 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max have both seen an increase in size. The Pro has seen an increase from 6.1 to 6.3 inches. The Pro Max has increased from 6.7 to 6.9 inches. They are slightly larger, but this is primarily accomplished through decreasing the sizes of the bezels. The device gets the 18 Pro chip and the same 8 gigabytes of RAM. The only difference with the regular model is that it has one additional neural core, which brings it up to 6 total. So there'll be plenty of bandwidth for Apple Intelligence and all of the new features. As for the 16 Pro colors, this year they come in black titanium, white titanium, natural titanium, and the new color, desert titanium. There's no change to the USB-C. It's still USB 3.0, which is substantially faster than the regular model. As for the camera, it has the 48 megapixel standard lens, as well as a 48 megapixel ultra-wide lens, which is a big upgrade from the 12 megapixel with the 15 Pro. A big upgrade this year is that the regular Pro model, not the Pro Max, also comes with a periscopic 5x optical zoom. So this is the first time that both the Pro and the Pro Max have the same exact camera setup. So the only difference between the two is physical size of the device and battery life. And one really cool thing with the camera for the 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max is that you can now shoot in 4K 120. The fact that this is even possible on a handheld device that goes in your pocket is absolutely insane. It's so cool. The only caveat to that is anything above 4K 60 frames per second, you do have to shoot with a storage device attached to your phone. It's just too much data. One last feature to mention is that the voice memos have been upgraded. It can now computationally filter out background noises and sounds and isolate a voice. So if you're in a loud environment, you can still take high quality voice notes. That's pretty much everything related to the phone, so let's jump over to the watch. With the Apple Watch Series 10, we're seeing slightly larger displays. The smaller version is jumping from 41 to 42 millimeters, and the larger version is jumping from 45 to 46 millimeters. Additionally, The entire watch is 10% thinner. It has a brighter display, as well as wide-angle OLED pixels, which helps emit more light from more angles. The short end of what that means is you'll be able to see it better. Additionally, it comes with faster charging. You can charge up to 80% within 30 minutes. The Series 10 is also inheriting a couple features from the Ultra. For example, it'll be getting the depth sensing app. It only goes up to 20 feet though, so don't go any scuba diving, just like with the Ultra. And the new health feature is sleep apnea detection. It uses the gyroscope to determine if you have any irregularities in your sleep. And if you're not aware, sleep apnea is a condition where you have irregularities in your breathing while you're sleeping. Keep in mind though that this is still in the works with the FDA. It has not been approved. So if there is any indication of it, make sure to speak with your doctor and don't rely just on the Apple Watch. I'm all for improving health tech, so this is a really cool feature to have. There were no real updates to the Apple Watch Ultra. It's still a Series 2. The only modification is that it now comes in a satin black color. I mean, it looks great and the color matched band is really cool, but unfortunately no new updates. This one also comes with sleep apnea detection though. I have a visitor, so I have to make an honorable Ajax mention. Hello. There have been quite a few updates in the world of AirPods. The AirPods 4 has been completely redesigned. They have a brand new case that is a lot more compact, and the actual ear tip is supposed to be the best fitting ear tip of all AirPods. I personally don't like how standard AirPods feel. They fall right out of my ears, so I use the AirPods Pros, and the silicone holds their fit much better for me. This one also comes in two options. The standard AirPod 4 for $129, while the AirPods 4 with noise cancellation is $179. This case also comes with wireless charging. I think though, if you're gonna spend $179 on AirPods, you might as well just get the AirPods Pros. You can often find them on deals. I got mine at Best Buy for $180, so I just get the Pros. But it's a great improvement. Speaking of the AirPods Pros, there is no change to the physical hardware, but there are a couple features that are coming via software, which is always great to see. We like to see improvements to our existing tech. It's still pending FDA approval and under review, so not final yet, but there is a potential to use AirPods Pro 2 as future hearing aids, which is huge news. I'm not too familiar with the hearing aid industry, but from what I understand, it's a incredibly expensive and difficult market. So if this gives people another piece of technology to access better healthcare and accessibility, I'm all for it. I don't think it'll be a permanent replacement, but it may help overall. The other cool feature that's coming via software is to be able to test for hearing loss. You can conduct a test in the Health app and you'll be able to see how your hearing stacks up to where it should be. The last feature that's coming is called hearing protection, and this reduces incoming noises so that you can have a more isolated and less damaging experience to your ears. These are all really awesome improvements. I absolutely love tech that improves accessibility for more people. I'm really excited to see what the use case for all of this stuff is and how widely adopted it is. As for the AirPods Max, there was hardly anything updated at all, and it's honestly not even a refresh. It's not fair to call it that. All they did was add 5 new colors and switch the port from Lightning to USB-C. I'm all for making sure we all have one single port to charge things with, but it doesn't even get the H2 chip. The AirPods 4 that cost $129 get the H2 chip. Why doesn't this one get it? For $549, it should absolutely see a bigger improvement. Those were all of the updates from the 2024 Apple keynote. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm not overwhelmed, I'm not underwhelmed, I'm just whelmed. The hardware looks great as per usual. There are a bunch of solid updates when it comes to cameras. I actually think that the regular 16 is getting a much bigger upgrade from what the Pro model is getting. It's an improvement to the camera with the same primary lens as the 16 Pro. It's getting improvement to the processor by skipping a generation to be able to handle all the new updates. And it has all the same buttons as the Pro, so it's not missing out on any of the hardware features. I just still cannot believe that they're selling an $800 device with 60 hertz refresh rate. It's just, come on, we gotta step that up, Apple. At least meet us halfway with a 90 hertz screen. That'll be saying, okay, it's not as premium as the 120 hertz Pro Motion display in the Pros, but it looks a little bit more visually appealing. At the end of the day, If you'll be pre-ordering these devices, you will not be getting the majority of the features because they are all software related. So things like Apple Intelligence and any of the health features. All of those come later with iOS 18.1 and 18.2 whenever they're released. We've kind of reached a point with Apple where we're buying the future promise of software. I saw a comment on Reddit, and I'm sorry I did not get the username, but I am going to borrow it because I thought it summed everything up really well. And that is that technology is so good, it's become boring. So credit to that anonymous user. I wish I had your name, but I don't. And I think that's a great way to sum up what we're seeing. Tech has gotten so advanced, and we can do so much with these tiny devices. Companies have reached a critical point with hardware limitations. And now the advancements have to come through software. But that takes time to make sure that all of this stuff works. I'd honestly be okay if they stretched the timeline and released everything all at once, instead of having to force keynotes every single year. That being said, I love watching it and I love new phones, so I'm okay with either option. That was the 2024 Apple event. It's Glowtime. It's just the start of tech season, so there's a lot more to come. If you've learned anything in this video, please drop a like. And if you'd like to see more, make sure to subscribe. This is Konstantinos with Konstantinos Tech. Thanks for tuning in.